David Lean's classic film, Lawrence of Arabia, has been showered with so many superlative accolades and ecstatic praise that it is practically filmophilic blasphemy to criticize its cinematography, screenplay, or acting. What has been criticized, however, is the very heart of the film, or the message it conveys. The highly influential scholar of the book Orientalism, Edward Said, claims that Lawrence was the first to propound the now prevalent idea of Arab primitive simplicity, and that the film underlines his unmistakably imperialistic vision that serious rule was never meant for such lesser species, only for the white man. I completely disagree, and will attempt to prove that Lawrence of Arabia is actually anti-Orientalist, and that it explores stereotypes only to debunk them later in the film. To make our point, let's look at a few clips. In this scene, we see Lawrence with his Arab friend and desert guide Tatas drinking at a well. Then comes the sinister, mirage-like shape of Ali on the horizon. As he approaches, Tatas pulls out a gun and aims to shoot.
Tatas!
Alas, he is beat to it, and Ali shoots him dead. At the end of the scene, we see that Lawrence is furious, even in his attempted composure.
Sheriff Ali, so long as the Arabs fight tribe against tribe, so long will they be a little people, a silly people, greedy, barbarous, and cruel, as you are.
Greedy, barbarous, and cruel are some pretty strong adjectives, and if we stopped the film there, we'd probably be forced to agree with Said that Lawrence is a racist and the whole film is an ode to imperialism. But as the film develops, so does its complexity. In this scene, we see Lawrence reciting a verse from the Quran and defending the Arabs' right to fight like Arabs and not to settle for being just another poor unit in the British Army. And in this scene, he makes his superiors promise that they have no political aspirations in the Middle East, determined to fight only for the Arabs' freedom and not for British interests.
I want to know, sir, if I can tell them in your name that we've no ambitions in Arabia.
And finally, in an Arab council in Damascus, Lawrence tries desperately to convince his Arab friends not to accept English help with anything, even in rewiring the telephones.
Take English engineers and you take English government. Take...
Lawrence's aim seems pretty clear. He wants the Arabs to be free and self-governing, and he will do all he can to ensure that. This totally contradicts Said's criticism that Lawrence believes that serious rule was never meant for such lesser species, only for the white man. But even more compelling than Lawrence's concern for Arab independence and dignity is his personal migration to that very stereotypical category he had reserved for the Arabs. While Ali becomes a voice of morality and reason, Lawrence becomes the one who is barbarous and cruel. According to German philosopher Friedrich Hegel, it is the artist's charge to depict the freedom of the human soul. As humans, we possess a unique autonomy that even culture, race, or religion cannot define us. That freedom to defy social stereotypes is as real as life itself. And it lies in our own hands, not in the hands of any general or lieutenant or politician. Lawrence of Arabia, as a cinematic work of art, embodies beautifully that freedom of the human spirit, even more than that political freedom that they're fighting for. This freedom is exhibited in the complex characters moving through their worlds, in and out of cultural stereotypes, and ultimately showing us that Arab or British, we all have the capacity to inflict pain or effect change. While some complain of perceived racial overtones, producer David Lean took a war story and made a point: that a human spirit is much too broad and mobile to be fit into a pre-made prejudicial box. This idea of Hegelian freedom manifests itself in every filmmaking aspect, from the acting to the costume design. Playing on our archetypal expectations of good guy and bad guy, Lawrence is dressed in heroic white, while Lee is dressed in all black. Although flaunting a white distacha and acting as a walking messianic complex, all of Lawrence's hubris serves only to condemn him in the end. And those white robes, once the clothing of a prophet sent to set a people free, now serve only as a symbol of irony, the bloodstains making a more shocking contrast against the purity of the white fabric. This change of symbol from heroic whiteness to fallen prophet stained in sin is a mirror of Lawrence's own fall from grace. After the same battle, we can see that Ali's robes are stained with nothing, not even darkened by a hint of blood. For the rest of the film, Lawrence's distracha never regains its original brilliance, always darker with dirt and at least a hint of blood. In this clip, we see roles reversed, Lawrence to cruelty and barbarity, and Ali to the compassionate voice of reason.
Major Lawrence! Jesus wept. Jesus wept.
Does it surprise you, Mr. Bentley? Surely you know the Arabs are a barbarous people, barbarous and cruel. Who but they? Who but they?
In that line, Ali sums up the entire political premise of the film. Surely you know the Arabs are a barbarous people, barbarous and cruel. Who but they? Who but they? Of course, the answer is obvious. Adjectives like barbarous and cruel are not race or gender or religion specific. The capacity for evil resides in all of us, as well as the capacity for good. In the end, it is not a Muslim who kills a Christian or an American who kills an Arab, but a human who kills and a human who dies. And Lawrence, once so passionate and brave, finally meets a match for his reckless abandon and idealistic fervor. But this time it is not a rough patch of paved road, but rather his very own primal barbarity.